What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Terence Crawford, Derrick James. Get this. Terence Crawford believes that Derrick James is a great coach, but did a bad job on 29th of July. And this is what Terence had to say. He said, Derrick James, he did a lot of disrespect to my coach, said Crawford on the episode of the 3 knockdown rule. The media was disrespecting my coach. The fans, they were disrespecting my coach. But he showed high-level coaching the night of the fight. I don't think Derrick James was on his level. More times than not, James has found a way to motivate and formulate a game plan to place his fighters in the best position. This time, it didn't work. He said, I believe they didn't have a backup plan. Him telling his fighter to step around, and that's all he was telling him, that was bad coaching for that fight. He said, not to say Derrick James is a bad coach at all, because I wouldn't disrespect him by saying that. He's a great coach. He's done great things in the sport of boxing, but that night he got out coached. Those are the words of Terence Crawford that let me counterpunch. I don't think this was really a stab at Derrick James, because I think that Terence Crawford has sense enough to know if you talk bad about the trainer enough, eventually it will reflect the fighter. And I think the last thing Terence Crawford wants to do is to disrespect Errol Spence. He's been nothing but respectful to Errol, encouraging to Errol after this loss. And that's what real champions do. I mean, the ones that are humble, without having the dickhead ego, like I'm going to ruin your career or stop you and, and, retire you early and all that. He wants to encourage Errol Spence to to keep going, because it's just one fight, one loss. And that's how real champions do it. But Derrick James, though, I don't think he was prepared for Terence Crawford or the game plan for Terence Crawford. I agree with Crawford and his team. His team were way more prepared. He didn't even hold a candle to it. And I think it overwhelmed Derrick James. He hasn't been in that situation like that especially fighting against someone like Terence Crawford. Again, the fighters are the one that's fighting, but to support Terence Crawford, Bomac instructed Terence Crawford to do more. He told him to do it, and Terence Crawford went out there and did exactly what he told him to do. Whereas Derrick James told him to do certain things, and the certain things really wouldn't have helped him anyway, based on the game plan that was in play for Bomac and Crawford. Okay. And I think you do have an off night, but I think the off night from Derrick James came from the fact that he couldn't believe what he was seeing. That's why he was checking gloves and shit, because he could not believe, my fighter, I had never seen this visually happen. So it's messing with him mentally. I think that's what happened with Derrick James. You know what I mean? And I think the pride, he didn't know when to stop. I think he was in shock. I think he was a guy that thought that, I can't stop the fight because I'm still flabbergasted of what's going on. And I think that deterred his better judgment. Like, hey, Errol's getting hurt. I need to stop this damn fight. Not just saying, well, the doctor was there. No, you were there too. And you knew Errol Spence didn't have a good foundation. You knew his legs were shaky. You knew he was taking punishment. You knew he was not landing like he should or like he normally does. And I think being added is Terence Crawford's explanation on why Derrick James did a shit job July 29th. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Terence Crawford telling Derrick James that you did a terrible job July 29th, but not a bad trainer. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!